What would you say is wrong here, Steve?
Well, here we have a branch of Subway, which is an international chain, and no access to the shop because of a large step of about 6 inches. I'm sure they'll come out and serve me, but we're working on the basis that they have to see me to come, and I would like to see them having some sort of doorbell. There's no signage at all inviting anybody that's got a disability to contact them or press a bell. It could be that they're busy, so they wouldn't see me. There's nobody in at this point in time.
Now it's off to Chinatown, an area promoting itself as a tourist destination, and first to the Shangri-La restaurant.
What you've made this place is accessible by putting these in, because this is not a proper wheelchair accessible toilet, but by putting grab rails that don't cost much money, you've made it accessible, which I think is a good thing, and you should be praised for that. The business case here for using a place like this is that we will come in here and spend probably in excess of £100 tomorrow, and the cost of making a toilet accessible by putting things like grab rails in, they get that return straight away.
Next, it's down the road to Lau's Buffet King. Steve goes inside to take a look.
Yep, thank you. Well, that was a disappointment. The place is pretty full, and I tried to show me the toilets, but the doors are very narrow, and there's no way I could get in. I would have to go through 2 doors, having got out of my wheelchair there. It's disappointing that they haven't made an effort. It's a level access. We can get through to the toilets, so they could make the place more accessible, I think, at not a great cost.
Over the road is Mango's restaurant. It does have a disabled toilet, but today there's a catch.
They actually have got a wheelchair accessible toilet. Sadly, they're doing a thing that quite a lot of places do, is that because of the fact that maybe they don't have a lot of wheelchair users going in there, they're using it as a storeroom. There's lots of chairs in there, and I couldn't use it at this point in time.
Next to the big market, and for Steve, an example of what can be done.
Just headed down Big Market now and got outside the pub called The Vaults. Now, The Vaults is a pub I used to come to before 2004, and it was certainly inaccessible then. They did do a lot of work to make the place more accessible, and it certainly is. This entrance here is a separate entrance that has got a signage to say press the doorbell for access. Inside there is ramps being put in that weren't there before to get to the wheelchair accessible toilet. So here's a business that has made the effort, and they should be praised for doing so.
Now Steve heads down the hill to the quayside. This bar does have a disabled toilet, but where is it?
I asked the bar staff, and I was told that the wheelchair accessible toilet is upstairs, but there's no way of getting there from what I can see, and certainly she didn't know how I could get there, which is disappointing.
It's 6 weeks on now, and the Politics Show has written to all those businesses and asked for a response to what we found. So what have they said?
We're here outside Subway in Gallagher again, and I'm delighted to see that they've put in a sign and a doorbell to allow disabled people to attract attention. We understand that they're going to try and do this kind of thing in all the older buildings where there are steps, and all the newer buildings that they're getting put in the country, because they've got big plans to spread out, are going to fully comply with the requirements of the Disability Discrimination Act.
We're back in Chinatown. Remember the chairs Steve said were stacked up in Mango's accessible toilet? Well, look what the restaurant did when we came back.
We've just come out of Mango's, one of the many restaurants in the Stowell Street, Chinatown area of Newcastle. As you've seen, because we went in again, they decided to move the chairs out the toilet, which is great, and there are obviously commercial benefits from that. We asked Lau's Buffet King to make a statement or have an interview, but unfortunately we haven't heard from them.
Next, it's back to the quayside and that bar with the accessible toilet up those stairs.
We're back outside Chase on the quayside of Newcastle, and since our last visit, we've been in touch with the management, and I'm delighted to say they've told us that they're planning to install an extra ramp that makes the accessible toilets that were upstairs accessible, which is a fantastic move.
So a mixed picture, but what does Steve want the government to do?
I would like to see the things that what Subway have done is being done by everyone. I would like to see it made mandatory for every business to have a sign and a doorbell so that they can attract attention and open up communication. Disabled people know what they need, and if they can have a dialogue with the business, we can see whether the place is accessible.
Well, Steve's written all about the kind of difficulties he faces getting around. You can find that on our website. It's bbc.co.uk/politicsshow. Now, we did ask the Minister for the Disabled to come on today's show to respond, but she wasn't available. Local business leaders, though, say in the present economic climate, the last thing they need are more rules.
Well, I think there's two sides to it. One, I've always been more a fan of the carrot than the stick. And I think if there was a real sort of marketing opportunity for them, businesses would move very quickly to take advantage of that. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't really try and help those who are more disadvantaged. But right now, with where the economy is, there are some real penalties potentially for going down that route. I believe that actually, right now, enough businesses have done something so that at least we've made a really good start.
And if you have a disability, maybe you're blind or hard of hearing, let us know your experiences.